Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, let's eavesdrop on another disinformation pundit, Piers Morgan. And here we can find that he's making a totally complete misinformation statement. It's 100% incorrect. And I'm going to even show you in black and white how even the stupidest, lowest little moron, scone eater, could have easily checked this out on Wikipedia, as I like to call it, Seweropedia. But, when it comes down to basic imbecilic facts, Seweropedia is certainly a source that I guess we can kind of trust. So he could have easily looked this up. And here's another thing. Now, this was a discussion on Mars and Elon Musk, another complete Peter Principle guy who's really never done anything, never invented anything, and has been pushed to the top of the control factors from an entire rigged family coming from a cultural background that was built by Nazis, South Africa. And the whole idea is that here we go again. He has done nothing. He has put together a computer car based on junk technology, otherwise known as electric, which creates more toxins and hurts the environment much more than internal combustion engines do. It's basically a pretty crappy technology that costs you a fortune, and they don't hold their value because the big cost of an electric car is the batteries, and once they go bad, they're worthless. And of course, he's talking here with Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's kind of a very strange guy. The more I listen to how he speaks very oddly, and he likes to draw things out with superficial data that makes him sound intelligent when it really isn't. It's the same old story. But let's get into this yet again, and we can see the major error. And most people probably think what he's going to state here about Elon Musk is correct. Now let's get the show on the road.
Be completely dwarfed. I suspect he's right. I'm going to buy about 5 myself. I get to do all my chores. So he's got all this stuff going on, right? So he's going to be staggeringly rich. And he's got access to
Elon Musk.
Staggeringly rich people. So the money part of it, coupled with his ambition, which is enormous, because I've heard him articulate it in person, it was incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, his ambition with our money.
But he's also an engineer. I mean, this is not just some rich guy playing with a few toys. Musk from the age of 10 has been doing data code writing and so on. He's a proper engineer to his bootstraps. And to me, it's the combination of a big dreamer who's a very brilliant engineer plus the money to do this stuff makes me think, well, why couldn't he do it? Why can't he be the guy that does this?
Totally incorrect. Now, I don't know what he's been doing since a baby, but the bottom line is that he's not an engineer. He is not in any way an engineer, never has been. He knows nothing about business, manufacturing, etc. That is disinformation, and I believe that most people think that he is an engineer. I've heard this stated many, many times. He is not. Let's go to Seweropedia. Oh, Mr. Seweropedia, can you enlighten me on disinformation? Well, first of all, what's interesting is that a guy who is on a Make America Great Again isn't even an American. He wasn't born here. The way he got into this country is through the back door, through his Canadian mother. He went to school in Canada or transferred from South Africa, from what I understand, to avoid the draft, and went to mommy's place and was able to then get into Canada, stay there, and let's look at the facts, Mr. Thor. Okay, Musk later transferred. First he got into Canada because citizenship through his Canadian-born mother. 2 years later, he went from Queen's University in Canada and transferred to the University of Pennsylvania. That's something that should be stopped as well. Canada has always been been a vampire of the United States, constantly bringing its people over here and sucking off assets from the United States. That's just a reality. And I'm not sure what's happened to Canada in the recent years, but it's turned into a corrupt sewer. Many, many years ago, I used to have lots of Canadian customers, and of course, Canadians are generally good people. They've all turned into criminals. And it's really sad, but of course they have a criminal government. But without getting into that, so he later transferred to the University of Pennsylvania and received a bachelor's degree in economics and physics. Well, isn't that how you spell engineering, Dr. Toole? Or this is another way of spelling engineering? So, and he then did using this charade. He was then, excuse me, able to attend Stanford somehow, which is a very expensive college. And I don't know how he came from that particular college and then was able to, I don't know how he went from University of Pennsylvania with a bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree, by the way. It's not special. It's not a PhD. It's a 4-year degree in economics and physics. And I heard him recently state that he had a great deal of trouble with physics and barely could get through the course. So then he moved to California in 1995 to attend Stanford University, but never enrolled in classes. Apparently he was accepted, but he never went to any classes. He went there to milk the contacts. Stanford is known as an entrepreneurial college. They're connected to money. And from what I understand, if you go into their business program, they don't ever expect you to finish the business program. They expect you to go into business. There's nothing they're going to teach you about business at Stanford that has that much of a value. So here it is in black and white, Piers. Oh, he's a right proper engineer from birth. Now, and you don't understand even what an engineer probably is. There's difference. Scientists are not engineers, and engineers are not scientists. Engineers take what's supposed to be known quantities, things that work, and make them work. Scientists invent stuff that the engineers have to figure out how to put into application. He doesn't have any of that background. He never has. All the stuff that Musk has done has been in the area of, and I'm not sure where he learned that from, but they were basically computer stuff. And a lot of it seems to be directly connected to others, particularly his brother. As far as I'm concerned, Musk is a know-nothing, do-nothing, created big mouth, set up by basically the oligarchy to move him in. And he's been connected with the financial people, where his brother has been connected, who is heavily connected to the criminal Texans out there as well. So the whole idea is that his brother married married the daughter of one of these rich Texans who are connected in all these nefarious areas out there. So, but none of his success makes sense. He was paid hundreds of millions of dollars for what are pretty mediocre tasks. And let's go into that. And of course, they do mention his brother here, Kimball, co-founded the online city guide software company named Zip2. The startup was acquired by Compaq for $307 million. It's a startup. It's nothing more than a website that can be used by cities in a time when not much was really going on in that area. And apparently companies like Compaq and their nefarious connections have hundreds of millions of dollars to give to unproven websites that have little or no. That same year, Musk co-founded X, and he's stuck on this X stuff. I wonder what that means. I wonder what is really behind all this X stuff, which is a direct bank, and merged with another company who knew what it was doing because he knew nothing, And in 2000, what was formed, and he really had nothing to do with it. He bought into, again, he merged with an organization called PayPal, or I think that was conformity. I don't know the exact details of it, and I'm not going to spend hours figuring it out. The point is that, again, he didn't know anything. His brother was involved in finances through the Texan connection, and they moved into an area that had huge capacities as PayPal and online payments, particularly with an internet that was going to start raging, was going to be in a very particular place. Banks have always been backwards and corrupt, and they've never done anything to help business whatsoever. I've went through this myself with Bank of America, who had problems giving me a credit card account and then made sure they sucked as much money as they could off of me by delaying payments to me as a mail order organization that ultimately forced me to drop them and go with a private provider of a credit card account. Musk acquired United States citizenship. Now, again, in 2002. So he acquired citizenship. He was not born an American. He has no connections at all. He's connected to a Canadian and to a South African Dutch German. His family, or his mother's family name, is German Swiss. And I'll tell you something as well. And of course, the dubious background of the rich South Africans to begin with, who basically made their money off of the suffering of the local people there, the local black people. So that October, eBay acquired PayPal that he merged with for $1.5 billion. So that's the reality of it. Using $100 million of the money he made from the sale of PayPal, he formed SpaceX. That is his reality. He got into electric cars. Again, he bought a company. He has no knowledge back there. He has no engineering capacity, nothing. So it's the same old story. He got into solar energy, and we can see what he's done there. His solar energy company's been a big flop. It does absolutely nothing. Robots and everything. This is all a big joke. None of it works worth a damn, and none of his technology has any value whatsoever. It's all contrived. He's made hundreds of millions of billions of dollars. Most of it is taken from the average citizens. And then, of course, most of the contracts he has for SpaceX and other things are with the federal government, and that's where he's joined with. This guy is a legend in his own mind and not much more. But regardless of going into commentary on Musk, in general, who is really a giant paper tiger who's done nothing. Yeah, great discovery, Musk, electric car. Yeah, it says right here that the first electric car was in 1880. Yeah. Is that when you got your information from? So he's done nothing. He couldn't do anything with solar power, nor would he. And of course, fuel cells, or the kind of energy that he's talking about, is really terrible. Nobody wants electric cars, and the more they sell, the more we're going to find out how junky they are. You want to wait 40 minutes for your car to charge up, sitting in Barstow on the way to Vegas? Well, that's what you're going to do, buddy. It's just ridiculous. And it's not doing anything for the climate or anything else, or for pollution, because the kind of pollution and the scarring of the earth and the exploitation of workers to get these metals to make batteries is horrendous. But what does he care? He's a South African. Oh. So the whole idea is that we have to really understand that. And this is the kind of thing that we have to be fully aware with. But let's get back to the real meat of this. But this is the same old story. And as I said, it's right here. I'll repeat this one more time because apparently people don't get things. I have people leave comments. I don't even know if they're watching. They don't even leave comments on what the video was about. You have to wonder. But okay, let's here go again. Musk later transferred to the University of Pennsylvania and received bachelor's degrees in economics and physics. So, look at this nonsense. Look at what Piers Morgan here, who's screaming on that this guy is a proper engineer when he's a right proper nothing. He's done nothing. A bachelor's degree in physics is virtually useless. Economics, of course, has some validity if you're investing money or trying to use the money system. Certainly, that is a valid course of study, but he's not doing anything in that directly. But he did because he's basically comes from finance on the coattails of his brother, who got into all these financial dealings and companies and then dragged his little brother along. Apparently, his brother is now kind of stepped back. I'm not really sure what's going on there, owning some sort of food company, trying to, because that's his interest of some sort of food preparation or restaurant, whatever. I'm not really sure. I guess we could look that up quickly. I wonder if it says here. But of what he's doing, yeah. He co-owns the Kitchen Restaurant Group, a collection of restaurants, Colorado, Chicago, and Austin. And of course, he got through Canada as well. He's another sneaking through the back door type. And he's also co-founder and chairman of Square Roots, an urban farming company growing food in different climates. So he's in the food business, apparently because he likes it. He's also on the board of Chipotle Mexican Grill, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that's right. In 1975, with his brother, Elon Musk, the software company Zip2, which was acquired by Compaq for $300. So this was all part of it. A lot of it had absolutely nothing to do with Musk himself. He was behind it. He was in the finance business. And that's what, of course, is always being hidden from him. But, I'm so sick and tired of these pundits. I recently showed scientists who said they believed in the woo-woo that they like to criticize because they speak goo-goo. They speak baby talk nonsense that is on the level of a preschooler, is how most scientists talk. So we have to understand that that's the reality, and that here we go with more misinformation. Now, because of this, which how many people have seen this? He's got over 3 million subscribers. This is have on 1.5 million views. 1.5 million people will think that Elon Musk, the monkey man that he is a full-fledged proper engineer. Went to engineering school. Oh, Piercy? Well, give me a pint of goo and a scone to dip it in. So the whole idea is that, it's a typical disinformation that we get from everywhere. Just like the other scientists, of course, he's just nothing more than a commentator, but I just showed you how easy it is to look up information. So if you're going to state something, and you should be kind of wondering about or be inquisitive about of what is the educational background, since everybody likes to scream that this is the main qualification of whomever it is. So if someone is doing anything, well, what is their educational background? What's interesting is when you look at certain things, as in recent times, we looked at the fact of when Donald Trump was shot, the fact that the Secret Service, the head of the Secret Service, had no law enforcement background. She was an appointed employee. The head of the FBI, I believe is the same person still, had no law enforcement background. So this is pretty scary that you are given or appointed positions that you don't even have any background in. It's pretty scary, but are we supposed to believe that someone like Musk can pull this off and he's going to spend trillions of dollars of his own money to go on such a folly as going to Mars? First of all, Mars takes 9 months to get there with our technology right now. It has no atmosphere. You can't make an atmosphere. It's all fantasy, like all the other fantasies that science has told us. And again, the disinformation agent called Musk wants to tell you that as well. That's just a way of getting trillions of dollars from the federal government for his space program, which he's going to pour into whatever he feels like he'll benefit off of. There's no way with present technology that you can do anything with Mars. You can't build an atmosphere. This is impossible. You have to have an atmosphere that keeps whatever you put there. So right now, no matter what you generate on Mars, because there's no atmosphere, it just floats out in space. And few people understand that. So the whole idea is that, and to think that that's a proper way of doing something, maybe he thinks it's fun to do something like that, and he thinks he's saving the world. I mean, he's such a little con artist, Musk. But as I said, that's not about him right now. But the bottom line is that Piers Morgan is stating wrong information. I mean, these kind of people should be fined. We should have a fact-checking organization out there, a watchdog agency, and there should be laws that if someone states misinformation, like has been done by the Brian Greene and whoever that other goobah was that I have a video up there, and Piers Morgan, that they are fined. This is different information. Telling 1.5 million people that Elon Musk is a right proper engineer, that he was writing stuff, writing code when he was a kid. I don't care if he's writing code or not. He also does not have a computer science degree. So I don't know where he learned his code writing from, but he doesn't have a degree in computer science or in any of those. Economics is not computer science. So what are we talking about? Quantum physics or physics in general is not going to teach you about code writing. So what is this guy's qualification? This guy's qualification is that he's hiring other people to do his work for him. He didn't learn coding or anything else. And if he did, well, why don't we know about that? So if he's a self-taught coder and that's good enough, well, you go to Microsoft and tell them that and see if you get a job. See if Apple will give you a job because you are a self-learned coder, that you don't have a degree in computer science and weren't trained by a top school. Do that and find out. You know, this is the problem we have. This is why there is no hope for the society, that nobody ever will get anything right, because you're constantly bombarded by this. And, you know, it's super easy to check. I just showed you how to do it, and you should always check that. Don't take anything that is stated anywhere as fact. Let's check it out. These are the people that want to be paid lots of money, that want to talk about higher education and everything else. Well, let's see it. Let's see what it's all about, plain and simple. So here we go again. And of course, the big Goomba, as we have as well, Neil deGrasse Tyson, well, he doesn't know anything otherwise. And this is kind of a...
I thought I was clear, then I guess I was.
I think in the whole aspect of what he talks about in this here is the fact that I've never heard such psychobabble in my life. And he likes to give out statistical data to make himself sound like he's super intelligent, which has no value at all to anybody. And he goes on endlessly just giving extra information of no value whatsoever. He's really kind of a very common mind. And anyway, who is Neil deGrasse Tyson? He's an astrophysicist. Or is that ask something? You can fill in the other word there. The bottom line is that he figures out what the junk in space is made out of. He figures out what the things flying around in space are made out of. He has no background. I've caught him stating several times he doesn't know much about this, because it's not. You're not an expert in everything. Just because you have a scientific degree doesn't make you an expert. And if you listen to this guy long enough, like I've done recently, it's a bunch of babble. He does the oldest trick in the book to sound like he is super intelligent. He gives you worthless facts, but it sounds interesting. So I used to do that in debate school. You know, you talk about, I remember doing a debate on Lenin, and I talked about the works of Lenin, and of course the writings of Lenin, and volume 2, page 658, paragraph 12, there is an actual statement by Lenin stating this. And the class went, ooh. Ooh? That's worthless, people. It's completely worthless. So the bottom line is that it has no value whatsoever, what page it's on, what paragraph, it's the content of it. But boy, does that make you sound intelligent. And that's exactly what Tyson did. He's another paper tiger, has a little mentality and knows nothing. So, and he's afraid to really come out and say something here. The actual terraforming of Mars is impossible. It's a 9-month ride, one way to get there. And with the crap technology we have, if you believe that's the only technology that we have, which I don't believe so at all. and has been stated by people that we have intergalactic technology already. But certainly Musk isn't going to do that. Musk is a mouthpiece for the giant gobs of money that they stuff in his mouth and up his butt, and that's what they all are. And Tyson can't come out and state that the fact is that, first of all, does he know that Musk doesn't have an engineering degree? I don't think so. He let Piers get away with that because he had no knowledge of it one way or another. Well, maybe you shouldn't stop quoting how many miles it is to the sun. Maybe you ought to look at what is being stated by this scone-eating boob. So the whole idea is that's the reality that we have to look at. But nobody will. That's the reality of life. So I hope this has shown yet another disinformation agent, which I've proven to you now straight on here. I've shown you the facts. It's all there. And I'm going to continue to do this. And when I find these grievous misinformation agents that are just diarrhea mouths, I will make sure that it is posted on my channel. So if you really want to know the facts of those, the only place you're going to ever get truth is from me and this particular channel. Until next time.